Hi, this is Erica Beggan from the Fall 2019 Introduction to Designing and Developing Interactive eLearning, and this is my walkthrough of my final project. I am using a case study that was focusing on different aspects of health and wellness, and I have created a module that is going to focus on stress triggers. This is a project that will be proof of concept for me to bring to my office stakeholders for us to be able to further move the needle in regards to how we're using e-learning and game mechanics for our real-time learners. One of the things that I did for the final project is I built out a more traditional storyboard for some of the obstacles within the overall narrative that I'm using and overlaying in this learning environment, which is The Curious Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. And it's taking place in present day. I went ahead and I changed the protagonist to a female. Her name is Jackie J. Eckel, and she morphs into Ms. Heidi Hyde depending on how stressed out she gets when she experiences certain obstacles. And I take us through a pretty traditional workday. And the few things that I decided to storyboard were like the first 3 obstacles. I have 10 total in the narrative, to get a look and a feel for what would be on the screen or what's verbally being said, the different options that are then going to be given to the learner, and each option has a point total associated to it based on how much of a stress-induced response that they have to these obstacles. And so I built this out for the first 3 obstacles, again, of the overall narrative that they're going to be learning inside. My biggest aha moments came from the mechanics that I had originally thought that I was going to build inside of this learning environment, and recognize that I bit off more than I can chew. Really, most specifically in regards to branching choices, I was trying to, initially I conceived this as being extremely individualized, a lot of different branching options, choices being changed depending on the choice that was made in the scenario before. And this would actually really make a lot of scope creep inside of what the build would be, and decided that I just really needed to walk away from that. So instead, everybody sees a static scenario. Doesn't matter what their option was, what they chose, and say second obstacle, they're all going to see the same obstacle for number 3. They're all going to have the same choices. That should make the build much more clean and uniform, and really be able to have a good pathway from start to end. Some of the things got kicked out of, like a performance bar, because I didn't think a 10 obstacle game was really going to be long enough and didn't require a performance bar. Some things I made some adjustments to. There is an opportunity for them to see how much they morphed into Ms. Heidi Hyde, but they'll see that at the end, instead of initially what I thought was like, oh, they get to see it as they're moving along in this game. Again, I think that that's too difficult of a build, or at least it is for me, since this is going to be my first e-learning game. I made some changes in regards to the badges and avatar as well. The avatar is not going to be personalized at this moment in time. It could be in a 2.0. And badges are being changed up a little bit because I have an inverse point system, and decided that awarding a badge for points, especially if you were super stressed out and had really high points, was probably not necessarily really valued, or it wasn't going to give the learner anything to help reinforce for them. I then also looked at my environment and decided that there were some changes that needed to be made in there in regards to, again, what they get to do. I have a final option. Instead of it being an open-ended question, I've decided maybe I'm going to build it out as sort of like a 3-question quiz. Gives them an opportunity to actually identify their 3 main stress triggers in a different way, and then maybe deduct points off of their total so that they can, actually mitigate some of that stress that got all built up and induced. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and build out some proto personas based on my target population here. So I'm going to be using this template here, and I'm going to utilize it to really be able to focus this game and the mechanics on these proto personas, which will really help to streamline, again, which mechanics I use because they're going to be valued by the particular personas that I've created. Thank you so much for walking through my project with me, and I wish you all success in yours.